Now, I truly believe that without bringing spirituality into our life, that we will be left constantly searching for something more, trying to fulfill a lack that exists within us. And that lack can show up in different ways for different people. It can be a struggle to like ourselves, or a struggle to find our place within the world, a struggle to understand what's the point and the meaning behind all of this. Without spirituality, we aren't quite whole. We are, after all, made up of mind, body, emotions, and spirit. And that spirit, that aspect of who we are, is not simply reserved for people who are religious, though it includes religious folks too. It is a part of every single one of us. And by welcoming in spirituality, our lives can be filled with a new sense of beauty, of love, of purpose, of understanding. That a lot of the stress that follows us day in and day out begins to fall away. And this journey has been one of the best that I have made. Before I explain one of the easiest ways that I've found to understand spirituality, I want to start with a little bit of a story. This is a story of one of the most extraordinary meditation experiences I had really early on in my practice, before it even felt like I had a right to experience something like this. So I was in my first year of meditation, not quite sure what I was doing at all, taking a shot in the dark, hoping that maybe by some form of meditation, I could bring a little bit of peace or stress relief into my life. I didn't even really know why I was practicing. I just knew that so many people had said it could make them feel better, and I hoped that I could land on that feeling better too. I had tried and dabbled in so many different types of meditation, and this day in particular, I sat down to do what's called an inquiry meditation. An inquiry meditation is all about asking, who am I? And then recognizing that whatever response shows up can't actually be who you are, because you are able to see that response. You are the observer behind. So the idea here is that you continue to ask, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Continually stripping away pieces of who you are, hoping to get to a bit of a deeper understanding behind it all. So I sat down this day to meditate, and I closed my eyes. Now, when I close my eyes to meditate, the world goes black. I've never been a particularly visual person, and so thoughts will run, I hear the words, emotions will come up, feelings in my body will distract me. And that's what my world looks like when I close my eyes. So I started to ask, who am I? And whatever came up, I said, okay, I'm supposed to believe here that if I can see this, that it's not me. So I'm going to ask, who am I again? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And as I began to ask, I began having this unique feeling like I was slipping further and further inside of myself, like I was stripping away these misconceptions or clouded pieces of who I was. And I was shocked. I was like, how is this experience happening? And so I kept asking, who am I? And then all of a sudden, the most unique thing happened. Everything seemed to slip away. No longer was I seeing blackness from closing my eyes. No longer was I feeling the meditation pillow that I was sitting on. No longer was I aware of how much my legs were hurting from how I was sitting. All of it just disappeared. And I had this sensation that I was floating. I was floating, sitting above a body of water with nothing around me except this expanse of water, this blue sky, this feeling of being connected to everything. And I experienced it for maybe moments until my mind snapped back in and went, what the heck is happening? And as soon as those words came in, it all went crashing away and I came back to my body. All that I knew is while I was sitting there, I was like, whoa, I just experienced something far greater than myself. This must be what they call spirituality. And I don't know how to put words to it. I don't know what to do with what I have had here, but I want a taste of more. And the experience felt like it was one that should be reserved for people who have been meditating their whole life. It felt like I got a glimpse of something absolutely magical that I couldn't even begin to understand. So I put it to the side and felt in awe, but unable to really process that grandness of what I had just felt and experienced. Recently, when I was sitting at the cottage, so now we are maybe 6 years past that experience, I was sitting at the cottage looking out on the lake in front of me. Now, with the way that the water hits the shore with a little bit of the curving of the bay, the waves come in at many different directions. And it was here when I was looking at this lake that the image of this meditation popped back to me. And I understood what it meant. I looked out on the lake and I finally got it. I said, here is the explanation of spirituality that I have been searching for. I have been deep into spirituality for years. I teach spiritual concepts to clients. I work with this avidly, but never had I grasped such a perfect understanding to me of what it means to experience and to be a spiritual being. As I looked out on to this lake and watched the waves come towards me, I saw how every wave was not just a big wave, but then within that wave were smaller waves. In those smaller waves were even tinier waves. In those tiny, tiny waves, you could see even smaller ripples of waves. So each large wave was made up of something much smaller. Every single wave that presented itself was a part of the whole, a part of the lake. And I recognized that we, as humans, we are like the smallest aspect of this wave, the wave within the wave within the wave. And we have forgotten that the truth of who we are is that we're a part of something much larger like that lake. That every wave, when it crashes into the shore and dies, it becomes a part of the whole again and will be reborn once more as a wave. But for the lifespan of that wave, it forgets the greatness, the wholeness of who it is. And that is what we go through here. We awake in these bodies as humans, and so many of us forget that we are also a spiritual being. We are a part of that entire lake. We are all connected. We experience ourselves as the tip of the iceberg, as the baby wave, but underneath, we are so much more. We are all connected. And energy connects each and every one of us, just as the wave is always a piece of the lake. And when it comes to spirituality, this energy that connects us all, the best way I can describe it is that energy, that underlying thing that is a part of every single one of us, exists as unconditional love. This understanding of us as unconditional love is something that became so clear to me when I had a near-death experience in 2014. If you want to learn more about that, you can watch a video that I have up about that too. And it was here, as I faced my own death, that I recognized and felt the boundless love that connects us all, the way that when we pass from this life onto the next, that we once again become a part of that whole. So the important pieces that we can take from this understanding of spirituality is, first of all, we are all connected and we are never alone. When we are feeling alone, it often means that we have closed ourselves off to this experience of ourselves as a spiritual being, because once we open up spiritually, we truly see, we truly feel the beauty of the fact that we are all connected. When we also open up to this spirituality, we experience the fact that we are so much more than just this body, and we can tap into that greatness, calling forward that energy to help us live this life. We can open up our hearts, letting that love, that unconditional love that is spirituality, pour forward from us and connect us to the love that exists in everything else too. So our world becomes open to experiencing the true depth of love that exists before anything else. The love that exists without us having to prove that we are somehow worthy, that we have accomplished enough to be liked, without us having to search for acceptance among each others, without us having to live up to expectation. The truth is that we are that love first. And when we become that love first, life no longer becomes about proving ourselves. It instead becomes about being able to live out our own unique purpose by experiencing the world we are here to experience. We can each authentically and uniquely play out our own part, because that love is there to support us. And we know that this here, what we're experiencing now, is not the end. So we can pour ourselves into the joy. We can let go of the weight of having to be something grand by someone else's expectation, and we can live out our own experience of greatness. We can find wholeness by experiencing that this is who we are. And it is for these reasons that I believe that spirituality is key to an experience of wholeness in this life. It's key to unlocking so much of the joy and the beauty that is available for all of us. And if we sit for a moment and watch the waves on a body of water, we can truly come to understand who we are. We can understand how that water that has formed itself as a wave never stops being the entire lake, the entire ocean. It is always a connected piece of the whole, just as we are always a connected whole piece of spirit. It is remarkable and beautiful what happens when we begin to open ourselves up to a spiritual journey here. I wish nothing more for you than for you to be able to open your hearts to this love, whatever that may mean for you. The experience for you is always going to be unique to you, different than what every person comes about. And that's what's beautiful about it. We can sit in and enjoy the uniqueness in which we live when we understand that there is a commonality between us all. We are mind, body, emotion, and especially spirit. That is the peace that never ends.